Well, let's start off with it's the first time we've gotten to sit down with you, and it's also been a month since you took the job, since you were announced as the head women's basketball coach at the University of Arkansas. So, how has it been in the first month taking over the role?
It's been awesome. It's been a lot, obviously. The hiring, the recruiting, the portal, trying to retain some of our current roster. So it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but just such a still blessing and an opportunity. And it's exciting. Work never stops, and I love it. I love the grind.
You have been very busy since the moment we had that press conference. Then I had asked you, what does it look like? And you were like, getting together a staff, hitting the ground running with recruiting. Well, you've done that. And so we'll get into some of the things that you've done already. I do want to ask you, before we get into the weeds of the roster, your coaching staff as well, faith, family, fearless. I love that. And I know you've said it so much. You've talked about why you want to do that. But for us here, why faith, family, fearless, and what does that mean to you?
I think that those are the pillars that our culture and our team is going to be based upon, and that's going to be the foundation. And so the culture is faith, family, fearless, that I want to run it like a family. I want my players to know that we genuinely love them on and off the floor. Just really creating that family atmosphere where they can thrive. We can continue to build them up, to help them develop in all aspects of their life. I think that's extremely important. And fearless, I want them to be confident. I want them to be bold. I want them to play fearless. I want them to play with extreme confidence and the belief that they know that we 100% believe in them. And then the faith, just having faith in themselves, in our program, our system, our coaches, this university. And just that belief, it's so very important as we construct this team, but also for their future. It's not just about this moment, it's also about what we're about to do and the future of their lives as well, which is extremely important.
You play a fun style of basketball. We saw that at Oral Roberts. High octane offense. You are going to enjoy watching those games if you're an Arkansas Razorback fan. Can you kind of describe what that means to them?
Absolutely. The dribble drive, I've kind of tweaked it over time and made it my own, but it's a 4 out, 1 in. We want to get the ball up and down the floor. We love to score in transition before the defense sets up. It's about spacing, it's about gaps, and it's about allowing players to utilize their God-given abilities, what they've worked their entire lives at, to be able to be put on display. And I say players get to make plays, and I think it's a fun style to play. It's a fun style to coach, but it's also, like you said, an extremely fun style to watch. And I think that Razorback fans are going to be excited for the high-octane offense and just the energy and the passion that they're going to see on the floor as well.
What type of player do you need to execute that offense? Because you've done it now at Oral Roberts, and I know you brought some of your players over with you. We're going to talk about that. But what kind of player, what mold do you need for that to be executed correctly?
One of the biggest things is getting downhill, getting down those lane lines. Direct attacks are huge. Creating that attack, creating that closeout is extremely important, and then knocking down some threes. I think the mid-range jumper is great too. That wasn't something that we utilized in my early days of coaching because we didn't have that. But that's something we kind of implemented over at ORU, and I think some of the players here are definitely going to be able to utilize that part of their game and their skill set. So just really getting down here hill and sharing the basketball, creating the closeout. Like I said, we love layups and we like 3-pointers.
It probably also means that your practices, because I've seen a few clips of them, pretty intense. Would you describe as, they're intense but fun? How would you describe a typical Kelsi Musick practice?
High energy, passion, definitely high octane. I think that's important. We do a lot of breakdown work. It might be a little repetitious to a certain extent, but I think in order to be great at the system, you have to be repetitive to a certain extent to make sure that they understand and it becomes second nature. And then competitive, there are a lot of competition moments within practice where we've just got to compete, whether it's a one-on-one setting, a shooting session, whatever the drill might be. There's usually a competition that's gonna take place, and I just think that helps push our players, that helps get them ready and putting them in game-like situations as much as possible so that they're prepared. I want practices to prepare them for the game.
Let's talk a little bit about your transition here, because now you've had a month to kind of just, okay, we're getting a roster together. I know it's not completely done yet, but we've built the foundation. We've got the coaching staff. What's been the transition like from going from Oral Roberts to an SEC program like Arkansas?
It's been a huge jump to a certain extent, but at the same time, basketball is basketball. And so making sure we have the core pieces within our staff, making sure that it's constructed in a way that where there is the loyalty, the trust, the IQ, the X's and O's, the player development, the passion, the energy, that everyone's all in. That's extremely important. The belief is still there on this staff, in the hallway, that everyone's on the same page, and I believe that they are. And then as we construct our team, just making sure that I always say that it's almost like a puzzle, and each piece has to fit perfectly to create a masterpiece and a finished puzzle. And so we're still working on that, but I'm extremely excited about the pieces we are bringing in and putting together. And we want them to want to be a Razorback. That's important. We want them to want to be here, want to be a part of this culture, this family, this university, and this program, and help us lay the foundation for future success.
You brought up a great point there, and a great segue into the pieces of the puzzle, and that is the roster. And you've been able to bring in some of those pieces so far. I want to start with the Oral Roberts transfers that you brought over with you from your previous team into Leah Jones and Emily Robinson. What did they bring to the table? Why are you so excited to have some of those pieces back from your former team?
I think obviously they can score at a really high level. They also understand the system. They understand my coaching philosophy and the way I expect things to be done, the expectation level. I think they're high energy, high skilled kids, but they want to play for me. I think that that's great as we continue to recruit, that they want to continue to be coached by me in this system, and they're comfortable and they're excited and they're still hungry, and I love that.
I bet it's pretty exciting for them to get to make the jump to an SEC school as well, right? I mean, play in this conference. I mean, that's such a great selling point too. Of just, it's been easy to probably get people to go, yeah, you're going to get to play in the SEC, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the best conference in the nation. It's going to be competitive day in and day out, night in and night out. It's a competition. We tell recruits it's like, you're playing in a Sweet 16 game almost every night when you're playing an SEC game. So, top tier quality talent, and it's just what an opportunity if you want to be competitive and you want to continue to grow and get to the top of your game. Where else would you want to be?
Exactly. I know a lot of fans were very excited to see I think it was your first announcement of the roster in Wyvette Mayberry, and seeing her and then going, wait, Mayberry, we know that name, Lee Mayberry. Seeing the daughter of such an Arkansas legend coming to the Razorbacks, being a part of your program, how easy was it to sell her on coming and being a part of this team?
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily easy, but at the same time, like, what an opportunity, full circle for them. I could just tell the excitement with her parents, with Lee, Marla, with her sisters here. Like, yeah, it's just what a cool opportunity for her to be able to put on that Razorback jersey, to have Mayberry on her back, and her dad's a legend here. Just an absolute legend, set records, broke records. And just for the fact that she gets to come back to a place that she has called home, and be able to wear that Razorback red. I mean, it's just awesome. And she does fit our system. Her skill set is phenomenal. I think she'll thrive in the dribble drive. I think she's really going to have a phenomenal senior season.
When you watch her highlights, I mean, she's up and down the court. I mean, it's lightning quick. And I feel like you're exactly right. That's going to thrive in that high octane offense, because that is exactly how she likes to play. Those girls that I just talked about, they obviously fit the pillars, right? That faith, family, fearless. Is that something you're talking to them about in the recruiting process?
Absolutely. Honestly, every recruit I've had the opportunity to speak with via phone call, Zoom, whether it's an official visit, whatever it might be, that definitely comes up. I want them to understand the culture. I want them to be 100% comfortable. Like I said, I want them to want to be here, but making sure that they know how we're going to do things, the pillars, the confidence, the belief, the all-in system, and the player development, that we're really going to pour into these student athletes and help them grow in all aspects of their life. I want them to be very confident and comfortable in that.
One question that Razorback fans have had is there going to be any familiar faces on this team? Is there going to be some retention from the previous roster? Are you going to have some of those girls back for another season?
Yeah, there are definitely some returners that we have. We've hit the off season hard. They've been in the weight room. We've been on the court already. I love it. I think they're extremely excited. They're hungry. And you can just see the excitement and the energy. And as we continue to complete the roster, I think that the energy is going to continue to rise. The passion is definitely going to be there, and the excitement. I just think that the sky's the limit.
And it's some of the newcomers in the freshman class. There's some of the freshmen that are coming in, some that Coach Neighbors did recruit, and you're going to keep some of those girls, right?
Absolutely. I'm excited about the freshmen too. You know, we have worked really hard in trying to retain the early commits that Arkansas already had. And so we're excited about that. Obviously, the portal's hot right now, and it's just been extremely busy with, you know, a lot of visits in the last couple of weeks. So, you know, I think all the days are running into each other, which is absolutely fine. We love the grind, but, you know, we're getting closer to completing the roster, and just the excitement level is going to continue to grow. We've been able, like you said, to release, you know, the freshmen are still retaining. We have some of our returning roster. We're going to retain some of them. Then the Oral Roberts signees, we've got Yvette. We just signed a JUCO post player. So a lot of excitement within the roster right now.
Oh, absolutely. I know you're not completely done. The portal there, it's still hot right now. What has your sales pitch been to these recruits, to this? I know probably some of the pillars is being in there, some of it that you're playing for Arkansas, the SEC. What has the sales pitch been?
You just named quite a few. The pillars, the culture, the foundation. Come be a part of something new and exciting, and help us rebuild, help us lay that foundation and leave a legacy here. It's an opportunity to do something new, to do something exciting, and to potentially make a splash in that SEC, which is so difficult to do. But we're ready. We're excited to continue to grow that. And I think that the SEC pitch, the fact that you get to be an Arkansas Razorback, what an opportunity. And like I said, the culture, the pillars, and the player development, I think that's a huge portion too, to know that we are really invested in helping them grow in all aspects of their life, but on the basketball court, helping their skill set really just skyrocket and help them grow in that aspect as well.
You talk about retention on the roster. You had retention on the coaching staff as well. Got to keep some key pieces there back, but add some new additions too. I know people in Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas, are very excited to see Brad Johnson on the staff coming over with all of his experience with Farmington girls basketball. Why did you want to add him on your staff? Because a lot of people look at it and say, you don't normally see a coach like him making the jump from the high school level immediately to an SEC collegiate program. So what made you want to bring him onto your staff in the first place?
You know, loyalty and trust. I've known Brad for quite some time. I actually recruited his daughter at SWASU. So just that relationship we'd found, and just he's a winner. Obviously, he's won a lot of state championships, but his IQ, his understanding of my offense, the loyalty that I know that he will bring, his love of Arkansas, the love of the Razorbacks is definitely evident. And I think that he's a grinder. He's going to get out and he's going to work hard. He's going to help us get out in that recruiting to a certain extent, but also on the court. I think that's huge. He's going to be able to help facilitate and help me with the offense, and on both ends of the ball, offense and defense. So I think that just his skill set, his IQ level, and just what the passion and the energy he's going to bring, and the fact that he's been doing it for a long time, and he's a proven winner. And that's what we need.
Yeah, you need people who win, right? All of them on the staff, you know, when you look up and down on it, hardworking as well. I think that's something that you have really identified in people, where it's like, you may have not had collegiate coaching experience, but you're a hard worker, right? And I think that's something that is really evident. Is that a quality of the staff, or what are some other qualities of your coaching staff that you love?
You know, like I said, loyalty, trust, the fact that, you know, they're definitely hardworking. They're not scared to grind. They're not scared to work hard. You know, there's been times when I don't even know what time we've left the gym and the offices, because, you know, we just continue to work through things, and that's part of the building process. And I love the fact that it's never going to stop for them either, that they're willing to put in that time, the energy and effort, not just recruiting, not just in the office, but on the court, and that quality time, building relationships with our players, with our future players, with recruits, in all aspects. But, you know, I think that, you know, experience can be measured in different ways. So just because you've had an extremely lengthy experience doing something doesn't always mean that it's been good. But what if the quality of experience that you may have had could outweigh, it might have been a shorter time. So I don't think time, you can put it always into, oh, well, they've been doing it for this amount of time, that does that make them better? quality can be, I think, and experience can be measured in multiple ways. But it has to fit, it has to be right, and it has to be people that are also willing to get my back and believe in what we're doing, believe in the culture, believe in the system, and the 100% buy-in. And I think that that alone is going to help us go far.
Absolutely. I like that point there. It doesn't always translate experience and time. You have to look at things holistically. I love that. I feel like you do that with your players as well. You know, you have to look at the whole picture and just where can they fit into this puzzle that I'm creating right now. You have been so busy recruiting, putting together a coaching staff, but you still have time to go out to baseball, see the fans, get to interact with them. I think I saw a picture of you in the hog pen the other day. How was that experience?
It was awesome. I actually got to go to the hog pen. I got to see students. I got to see fans. I got to see Razorback faithful. And it was just awesome to be able to be out there in that environment. I mean, man, our baseball team is doing so well, and it was just what an awesome night to be able to just take in a baseball game. And I've been to a couple now, and it's been awesome, and I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah, you threw out a first pitch as well. Have you ever done that before?
My kid, Titus, he was giving me a hard time when I was practicing. I was like, but I didn't get a warm up on right before the pitch. I think I did okay. He said I did okay, so that'll work.
You've also been able to meet the other coaches. I know you've met Coach Cal, Coach Pittman. You actually have a connection with Coach Pittman, right?
Yeah, he actually was in my hometown. He lived in Canton, Oklahoma for a while. His dad worked at the school back in the day, and he actually knew my mom and dad. So what a small world. There's 500 people in my hometown. So Canton, Oklahoma, making waves in Arkansas.
And Sam Pittman, one of them. It's just, that's so funny. Now you guys are coworkers, so that's great. What's it been like getting to talk to Coach Cal and getting to kind of learn from him a little bit, or just getting to interact with him? I mean, just a legend, obviously, Hall of Famer, just a great person to have in the office every day at your disposal, right?
Absolutely. Obviously, we've been extremely busy, and so has he in the portal. So I haven't had a chance to really talk with him, but we've exchanged numbers. He's been extremely awesome and just willing and open to be like, hey, if there's anything I can do to help you in recruiting, I know he's going to let me pick his brain a little bit about the X's and O's and offense and defense, which just talking basketball, talking shop. I know we'll get to that when things settle down with recruiting, but what an opportunity to have a legend literally right across the hall.
Yeah, seriously. An opportunity I think a lot of coaches would go, dang, I wish I had that opportunity. So just another reason why Arkansas is a great place for you to be. Let's talk about you a little bit. Before we started the interview, we kind of talked about your how you grew up, and you obviously grew up small town in Oklahoma, and you played basketball as well. Your mom was a coach, right? Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about where your love for the game started.
I definitely think from my mom. She was a high school coach, and so I grew up in a gym. After school, I would just walk across to the gym and be in practices all the time, whether she was, after school, high school practices or whatnot. I started going to camps when I was like 4 and 5 years old. Just, small camps around the area out in western Oklahoma. And just that's all I knew. I grew up on a farm. Learned how to dribble on some uneven cement and gravel, but, I had to learn how to dribble really well so I didn't have to chase my basketball. But just, playing one-on-one with my sister right out in the yard, and just that goal that was attached to our garage. I mean, I can't tell you how many shots I got up, rain, sun, shine, it didn't matter. Me and my sister were out there always playing basketball and getting in the gym as much as we could. There wasn't a lot to do in a small town, but going to school and playing basketball was our love and our passion, and it's definitely shaped me, and obviously it's been my path.
Do you think your mom got you a bit with the coaching bug a little bit too, where it was like, ooh, I love playing the game, but maybe I could see myself being a coach one day?
Yeah, honestly, growing up, I didn't really think about that. But when I got to college, I just remember when I played my very last college game, we made it to the national tournament for the first time in school history. And we'd gotten beat. And I remember sitting in that locker room, and my mom had to come get me. And I didn't want to take off my jersey. And she said, you're going to have to take off your jersey. We got to go. And I was like, no. And at that moment, I knew I was meant to be a coach. I knew that was, God blessed me with an innate ability to really, see basketball through a different lens. I can literally watch in the middle of the game. I can rewatch it in my head, and it's it's a blessing and a curse. But I like to consider it a blessing that I can literally replay the game in my mind. But at that moment, I knew I wanted to be a coach. I wasn't done with basketball. I wasn't ready to just step away and do something else. And Someone's like, well, what would you do if you didn't coach? I don't know what I would do. This is literally my passion. I believe that God blessed me with some talent in that aspect, and I love it. I don't know that there would be anything else that I would want to do. It's not necessarily a job. It's something I genuinely love.
Replaying the games in your mind, does that get you in trouble sometimes where you're like, man, we could have done this or we could have done this? I mean, I kind of feel for your family a little bit and your husband where it's like, oh man, we could, I bet they're like, okay, it's over.
Luckily, they love basketball too. Everyone plays basketball in my household at this point, so they probably do get a little tired of it when I'm like rehashing it in my mind. But sometimes I try to just keep my thoughts to myself.
Working it back to Arkansas a little bit, when you first got to talk to Hunter Yurachek and he was like, we're going to offer you the job, what was the feeling like? I mean, was it kind of like, okay, this has always been my dream to coach at the highest level?
Yeah, it was just kind of it was a little bit just honestly pure excitement, and I could just feel the blessing, and I knew that if it worked out that I wanted it to just hope potentially happen, and it kind of did in that aspect, and I didn't want it to be hard or be forced, and it was just a great opportunity, and man, just pure excitement, pure thankfulness, grateful for the opportunity that someone was willing to let me have this opportunity to coach at the highest level. I've definitely had to work my way up the ladder, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I always tell my players, I'll never make you do something I've never done. And, I've started at, I've been a DOps, I've been an assistant, I've been the head coach, I've been at different levels. And I think that all of those moments have helped prepare me for this opportunity.
You obviously know what this team has done in years past, and just you want to get it back to the level it was before, making the NCAA tournament and making the postseason. What does that look like? How does that path for you? I mean, obviously it starts with building the foundation, like you said, getting the right pieces to the puzzle. Where do you go next to get to that level?
Laying the foundation, implementing the system as far as the dribble drive, our intensity on defense, continuing to, allow my staff to continue to grow together and adapt, but assembling this roster and then building for the future, making sure that once we finish this roster, finish this moment in the portal, finalize this upcoming season's roster, hitting those evaluation periods, getting out and watching future Razorbacks and building the relationship and the foundation with the future, with the girls that are going to graduate high school and potentially want to be a Razorback, that we want to be here. And then obviously the portal is going to happen every year, but just trying to make sure we're getting out and reaching those younger players right now and building that relationship and getting them excited about being future Razorbacks.
Absolutely. You've now spent a month doing all the things we've just talked about, but also immersing yourself, right, in this culture here that Arkansas has founded. What does it mean to you to be an Arkansas Razorback?
Man, a blessing. When I think of things as thankfulness, gratefulness, just that attitude of gratitude. But what an opportunity. I love the fact that the Razorback fans are so faithful. They're so passionate and they're excited right now. And I love that. I want us to put a good product on the floor. I want the fans to pack Bud Walton again. I want that for my players. I want that for this program. I want that for this university. And my staff and I are going to work extremely hard to continue to build this the right way and to put a good product on the floor. But just to be an Arkansas Razorback is a blessing, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.